Look, I understand that it started a lot of conversations.
This is going to go down in history as an asterisk next to Rachel Zegler's name.
Okay, babe, picture this. It's been weeks since the internet last dragged Rachel Zegler.
I don't really care about that. What I care about is how she hated the story because it needed to be wokeified, and she hated the fact that there was going to be a Prince Charming of some sort, and they needed to update it.
The South Park parody has cooled off. Family Guy moved on to its next target. The memes slowed down, her PR team was finally breathing again, and the Rachel Zegler discourse was about to exit the chat. And then, in walks Katy freaking Perry with her glossed lips, platinum waves, and a microphone in hand, ready to casually blow the whole narrative sky high with just one sentence.
When people say woke, what they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you. That hates everything America stands for.
During a red carpet interview at a Women in Entertainment event, the reporter asked Katy what she thought about reimagining traditional female characters. Very basic question, very PR safe. She could have said something vague and diplomatic. But oh no, Katy came to speak truth with glitter-laced venom. She smiled, gave her signature soft laugh, and dropped the now infamous line, "I love empowering stories, but sometimes it feels like people are rewriting fairy tales because they're mad that love exists."
A company like Disney so up against it. Why? Because it doubled down on DEI.
You could feel the shade cut through the air. No names were mentioned, but the internet instantly knew exactly who she meant. It was subtle, it was savage, and it was vintage Katy. Weaponized sugar-coated sarcasm. She didn't need to yell. She didn't even raise an eyebrow. She let the girls feel it in their souls. And within minutes, her words were all over Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, everywhere.
And there was no tension. There was no drama. There was like nothing in that set. All it was an empty movie.
The clip went viral before Katy even got back inside the venue. By the time she finished the event, fan edits came in fast. Katy's quote played over. Rachel's infamous "he's literally stalking her" soundbite. TikToks with the caption, "Katy Perry, the Disney princess we deserved." Even drag queens started using the soundbite as a read in lip-sync videos. You already know the queer side of TikTok was living. One viral TikTok said, "Rachel Zegler thinks she's a disruptor. Meanwhile, Katy Perry just dragged her with a glitter, mic, and a half smile." Iconic. Another tweet racking up hundreds of thousands of likes. Katy Perry said, "We're not mad at love, sweetie. We're mad at your interviews." It was like a second wave of backlash for Rachel. And this time it came wrapped in bubblegum pop energy and zero direct blame. The shade hit harder because it was quiet. It was classy, and it still wrecked her.
So Disney is another company that's been in hot water. They've been in a downward spiral.
Babe, of course, Rachel responded. Because when does she not? Not even 24 hours later, she dropped a black screen story with bold white text. Her favorite aesthetic when she's about to drop a not mad but mad moment. Some of us are actually trying to evolve storytelling. It's okay if that threatens you. Girl, the internet snapped. Like, you're telling me Katy Perry says one polished, vaguely shady sentence, and you react with, "You're threatened?" Be serious. The comment sections were wild. Katy said it with class. Rachel said it with caps lock. Nobody was threatened. We were just tired of the monologues. You can't keep calling everything progress just because it makes people uncomfortable. And honestly, her response didn't help. It reconfirmed everything people have been saying, that Rachel can dish out bold takes but can't handle even the softest clapback. Especially not from a woman who's been in the industry for over a decade and has actually survived being hated and beloved more than once.
It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
You already know the headlines were ready. Katy Perry subtly drags. Rachel Zegler in viral fairy tale comment pop. Princess meets Disney disaster. The internet declares a new queen. Rachel Zegler responds to Katy Perry's "Love exists" mic drop. And it backfires editorials started chiming in too, with one op-ed saying Katy's comment summed up in one sentence what millions of moviegoers have felt but were too polite to say. Another media site called it the ultimate Gen X response to Gen Z's fairy tale fatigue. Even Entertainment Insider started tweeting, "Respectfully, Katy said what needed to be said." Respectfully, babe. That's how you end a girl's argument without even raising your voice.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because The movie is really, really bad.
Babe, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. The second Rachel clapped back with her usual black screen story monologue, her stans tried to rally the troops, but what they weren't ready for? The Katy Cats came armed and dangerous. And they were not here for the passive-aggressive victim act. They started flooding TikTok and Twitter with edits, cutting together Katy's quote Disney princess aesthetics and Rachel's most cringe Snow White interviews. The contrast? Brutal. On one side, Katy's calm elegance. On the other, Rachel rolling her eyes and calling the prince a stalker. The message was loud and clear. Katy is class. Rachel is chaos. Rachel's fans tried to clap back, calling Katy outdated, not a real actress, and jealous of Gen Z stars. But it didn't stick. Nobody was buying it. The quote wasn't hateful, it wasn't messy. It was clean, thoughtful, and wrapped in sparkle. And that's what made it so dangerous.
And so I've got some bona fides here on being fair. The movie was absolutely terrible.
You could feel the shift happening in real time. Rachel used to have defenders, people saying, she's just passionate, she's standing up for women, she's misunderstood. But now, even her own fan accounts were going quiet. No one wants to fight for someone who turns every little critique into a dramatic thesis on feminism. Meanwhile, TikTok crowned Katy the queen of silent slay. Every creator with an opinion was stitching the original quote with takes like, when a grown woman checks you without even saying your name, that's power. It wasn't just a drag, it was a reset. People started calling it the comeback of traditional elegance and a warning to all the PR-trained princesses who forgot why we loved the original fairy tales in the first place. One viral tweet said it best. Rachel Zegler spent an entire year explaining why love stories are cringe. Katy Perry needed 5 seconds to make the internet remember why we still believe in magic.
Whoa. We're talking about ultra-far leftists, people who believe that men and women are a figment of your imagination, that your money is not your own, that your family is not your own, and that your country is not your own. That's what woke means.
Now here's where it gets juicy. While the fan bases were throwing digital punches, people behind the scenes were watching, and not in silence. Whispers started leaking from studio sources, and babe, let's just say they were not Team Rachel. One anonymous exec allegedly told a media outlet, "What Katy said is what a lot of us have been saying in meetings for months. The message got lost because the delivery was messy." Another source reportedly said, "It's refreshing to hear someone say it without turning it into a controversy." Translation, Katy said what Disney wishes it could post on its main account. The industry is tired of watching Rachel fumble the bag every time she opens her mouth. And the fact that one polished comment from Katy reignited the conversation without backlash, that's called influence, babe. And Rachel just got eclipsed in a space that was built for her.
Well, the primary suffering is being sent in by my company to watch a children's movie as a single man, like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. That was the first part that was a little bit weird, but I was basically the only person in the theater.
Let's be honest. Rachel's team has been trying to rebuild her image since the Snow White press tour imploded, followed by South Park, Family Guy, and 1,000 TikToks dragging her into digital oblivion. They were planning a soft re-entry, quiet posts, muted tones, until Katy's quote blew the roof off their entire PR blueprint. Now, every move Rachel makes gets instantly compared to Katy's one-liner. People aren't listening to what Rachel says. They're watching how she reacts. And when your every post comes off defensive and slightly bitter, babe, it's giving not learning. Katy didn't just win the moment, she reset the tone. She reminded the industry and the internet that you can clap back without clapping loud, that you can defend tradition without sounding like a villain, and most importantly, that you can still slay with a smile.
The most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth, who hates Snow White.
It didn't take a scandal. It didn't take a Twitter rant. It didn't take a cancellation campaign. All it took was one clean sentence from a pop veteran, and suddenly, Rachel Zegler's already wobbling image took a final, quiet fall. The worst part? There's no dramatic moment to blame. It wasn't a meltdown. It wasn't a viral TikTok exposing her. It was a simple, almost graceful recalibration of the conversation. Katy Perry didn't tear Rachel down. She refocused the lens. And what we saw when it shifted was someone who maybe just doesn't get it. Because the truth is, this moment didn't just expose Rachel's inability to handle critique, it exposed how deeply the audience had already turned on her. People didn't defend her like they used to. Even her loudest supporters were noticeably quiet this time. And that's the thing about the public. They don't always announce when they stop rooting for you. Sometimes they just stop, the applause fades, the grace runs out, and suddenly one calm, clever comment from someone like Katy makes everyone realize, oh right, we actually didn't like what Rachel was doing all along.
A completely spineless, feckless prince buys his swimsuits at Target. It's helpful to be able to tuck. And Snow White is Snow Brown. Now, I don't have a problem with the fact that she's brown. I'm just saying everything about this has to be changed when it doesn't really need to be changed.
Here's where it gets chilling, babe. The studio that once held Rachel up as their next-gen Disney queen has gone dead silent. No pushback, no "we support Rachel" tweets, no curated press moments to spin this into a strong women can disagree story, just silence. And if you know Disney, you know that means one thing: they're done protecting her. Insider Buzz says that after the South Park parody, the internal temperature around Rachel was already cooling. But now, post-Katy moment, executives are allegedly shifting focus onto the brand rather than the face. Quiet emails, adjusted promo strategy, new talking points for other cast members. Translation: Rachel's name is becoming a risk. There are even rumors that newer promotional material will feature ensemble energy rather than star power. Less Zegler fronted, more team magic. Because let's be honest, if the public can't separate Rachel from the discourse, the safest thing to do is quietly push her to the background. And if Disney, the House of Mouse, the brand that makes careers, decides you're more trouble than you're worth, babe, that's not just PR trouble, that's legacy damage.
I don't really care about that. What I care about is how she hated the story because it needed to be wokeified, and she hated the fact that there was going to be a Prince Charming of some sort, and they needed to update it.
Let's call it what it is. Rachel Zegler is no longer known for her talent. She's no longer seen as the girl from West Side Story. She's not the rising Gen Z icon Disney hoped she'd be. She is, quite simply, a personality that rubs people the wrong way. And that's the real fallout here. Because once your name becomes shorthand for annoying, it's nearly impossible to rebrand. People aren't quoting her roles. They're quoting her interviews. They're mimicking her tone. They're parodying her as that girl who hates everything fun. The audience no longer sees her as a storyteller. They see her as someone who wants to control the story and the audience's reaction to it. And that's where she's losing them. Because here's the thing. People love strong women. They love bold opinions. But they also love joy, vulnerability, relatability, and Rachel hasn't given us any of that lately. She's been a fortress of smug monologues and defensive clapbacks, and the public is over it.
When people say woke, what they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you, that hates everything America stands for.
Now let's look at the other side of this. Because if Rachel is the symbol of how not to navigate a narrative, Katy just reminded us how to master one. She didn't yell. She didn't tweet. She didn't even directly address the drama. She spoke with clarity, confidence, and the kind of quiet certainty that only a woman who's been dragged and survived can carry. That's what made the comment so powerful, because Katy knows what it's like to be the joke. She's been mocked. She's been misunderstood. She's been memed, dragged, and left out of conversations she helped start. And yet, she's still here, still glowing, still in control of her image. That's the kind of longevity Rachel thinks she has, but hasn't earned yet. And that's why Katy's quote hit like it did, because it didn't come from a place of bitterness. It came from experience, wisdom, legacy. Rachel came with heat, Katy came with poise. And when it comes to public image, poise always wins.
Yeah, look, I don't really like the term woke. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain. And where we can entertain responsibly, obviously, we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world.
Let's not pretend anymore. The Snow White reboot is in critical condition, and no enchanted kiss is saving this one, babe. After months of PR disasters, fan backlash, and now this viral Katy Perry moment that threw shade without even trying, Disney is watching its once sparkling modern rebrand spiral into meme territory. What was supposed to be a bold, empowering update to a beloved classic has turned into a masterclass in how not to launch a Gen Z icon. Katy's quote didn't just drag Rachel, It exposed the cracks in Disney's entire strategy. And now, with the internet siding hard against their lead and legacy stars low-key rolling their eyes, the studio is allegedly reevaluating its entire approach. Behind closed doors, there are rumors of edits, rewrites, even a shift in marketing tone. Less revolutionary, more nostalgic magic. And that's not an accident, because now, thanks to one viral soundbite, the fairy tale has officially turned into a PR horror story.
Has proven to be Disney's worst investment ever in the history of Disney investments. I mean, they've gone through various scandals with this girl.
Let's be real, babe. If Rachel Zegler wants to have any kind of future in this industry, the rebrand needs to start yesterday. Her current image? It's not working. It's too reactive, too smug, too heavy on the hot takes, and too light on humility. She went from promising talent to pop culture punchline, and the audience is tired. They don't hate her. They're just exhausted by the performance, the constant over-explaining, the victim energy, the sense that she's lecturing instead of entertaining. If she wants to recover, it won't be with another Instagram story or interview filled with buzzwords. It'll be by stepping back, shutting up, and coming back quietly, softly, and with zero speeches. Because right now, every word she says digs the hole deeper. She's not canceled, but she's dangerously close to becoming forgettable. And babe, that's worse.
And then what do you know? They try all this updating. They get this lousy screenwriter, in my estimation, because I saw this thing and it was awful, like really, really, really bad.
While Rachel tries to salvage the ashes, let's talk about the other queen in this story, Katy Perry, who just reminded the world that her pop girl era may be quieter now, but her cultural impact, still loud. That comment, it's already being quoted in editorials. It's a TikTok audio, it's on merch, it's in think pieces about the return of the romantic heroine. And the girls are eating it up, because it wasn't just a clapback, it was a recalibration. A moment that said, you can evolve stories without resenting what made them beautiful in the first place. Katy walked so the internet could collectively remember why fairy tales mattered in the first place, and she didn't have to drag, cry, or post 10 stories to do it. Just a simple quote, delivered with poise and a smile that said, I said what I said, and you felt it. That's how legends move, babe. Quietly, effectively, without even breaking a nail.
I also like how Disney doesn't have any new ideas. So
Right.
what have we done before that's worked? Let's do that again.
Yeah.
This whole saga started with a press tour. Then came the think pieces, the parodies, the backlash, and now a single sentence from a pop legend that brought it all crashing down in the classiest way possible. Rachel Zegler didn't fall because she was bold. She fell because she forgot the audience, the same people she was trying to inspire. She thought she was leading a revolution. What she started was a conversation no one wanted to have, about why we're so quick to rewrite stories instead of learning to evolve them gracefully. And Katy, she didn't start a feud, she ended a narrative. With grace, with intelligence, with the kind of restraint that makes the sting last longer. So what do you think, babe? Did Katy Perry shut it down without saying a name? Is Rachel's redemption arc officially over? Can Snow White survive the internet? Or is this the final chapter in the fairy tale nobody asked for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss the next meltdown, PR collapse, or unexpected queen reclaiming her crown. Because in this kingdom, you don't need a poisoned apple to fall. Sometimes, all it takes is one woman saying, maybe we're just mad that love exists, and that's the end of the story, babe, for now.